Yay! If you're watching this video, then that shows me you are passionate about music education, you're passionate about music and learning about music, and you are passionate about personal growth and self-growth. And that tells me that you have determination and perseverance, and of course, courage. Really essential life skills that we need in all areas of our life, throughout the whole of our life, and what the arts are really good at teaching us in those younger years. I'm Rachel Hardman, and this is Passionate About Music Education. And today I'm going to talk about perseverance and why it's so important, and how do we help our students learn to be determined and persevere even in those challenges that they will face, whether that's within the arts education or whether that's in their whole education or outside of school. So why are people more determined? Why are people more able to persevere in their dreams or their goals or their ambitions? Why do we find that some people play music and persevere and play it for the rest of their life, and the same with sports, and other people give up? Well, what is the difference? And generally it comes down to mindset, that self-belief. Can I do this? Am I worthy enough? Am I good enough? And if we don't understand that failing is a perfectly important part of learning, and that we will fail repeatedly, but perseverance is getting up, brushing yourself back off and going back into the journey, that is how we build courage, because we're stepping into fear continuously, the fear of the unknown. We are developing courage, we are developing determination and perseverance. And what we learn on that journey is that it doesn't matter how many times you fail, you will continually to keep working out the solution. You will find new solutions. Generally, with our students, there are adult figures in their life who can give them that support and guidance of how to persevere. And I think that's really important for us to teach that to our music students, whether they're beginner students or they're about to go off to university or they're studying with you at that university level. So how do we help our students? So I'm going to talk about a few action points that you could bring into your practice, whether you teach in the classroom, whether you're an ensemble director, or whether you're teaching, you're in your own studio one-to-one music lessons. Be honest about your own musical journey. It's surprising how much students want to know how you started. Even this week in class, a student asked me, how long have I been playing music? When did I start learning music? What did I start on? And I know these are personal questions and you don't have to answer them, but being honest about it with the students gives them the opportunity to understand that if I can do it, so can they. So I will always talk to my students about the fact that I didn't come from a wealthy background, and therefore I had access to music through school because we had free clarinet lessons, which I did, and then eventually needed to have one-to-one lessons, which I worked at in the evenings doing paper rounds and worked at weekends and in holidays to help pay towards that with my family. And I was lucky that I had a school instrument, but I didn't get my own instrument until I was 18, just before I went off to university. And that, I had to go and work at learning the piano as an adult because we didn't have a piano in our house. And that I still keep practicing and I still have to learn new pieces. So even though I started on the recorder when I was 8 years old, my musical journey is still going. And when you talk to students about your journey and you're honest with them, they understand that music is a lifelong hobby, or a lifelong career, that you aren't going to come out at 18 and be perfect at it. In the same way that with sports, we train our students and they take part in lots of extracurricular sports, and it's a really great thing for them to do. But they can continually grow at this and develop at this beyond school for the rest of their life. We are giving them the foundations, the stepping stones, but they will go on. So be honest about your musical journey. Share real life with them, what your real life journey and learning is, because they are interested, and also you are giving them inspiration because you're talking about the barriers and challenges that you had in place and how you overcame them. And that is what being determined and having perseverance is. It's not the success, it's how you get up from the failures and the flaws and the barriers and how you keep moving forward. I think one of the other action steps in teaching music or the performing arts is to teach students how the brain works in terms of relation with fear and anxiety and that pressure that we put on ourselves, and how our mind can flip easily from the negative mindset to the positive mindset. And I also think that's important if you're teaching general music with teenagers, is that point when they start to realize the importance of performing in front of others, where they are very much aware of what their peers think and how they're being perceived by others. There is a great change. It's usually in like between year 7, they don't seem to have really grasped that, but by the time to get to year 8 and year 9, definitely, so that 14-year-old, they're very much aware of it. So it's talking through those fears. I mean, even this week again, I was talking to my students. It's like, I know it feels uncomfortable and embarrassing performing in front of your friends, because you're very much aware of their judgment and you want, to be valued and worthy and included and accepted. And then you have to create that in a safe environment so they understand that you understand their challenges, so that you are giving them the courage to be brave. Playing in front of a class full of 14-year-olds, a solo or a composition you've just made up, can be really nerve-wracking, can be really scary. And some students will automatically want to go no. But if we want to help our students develop perseverance and determination, we have to explain why they can do it and why it's okay to try. And I always talk to them about the fact that the work that they're producing for me, particularly if they're composed and it's general music, is work in progress. It's not the final product, because we never have enough time. If you're like me and you're teaching in schools, we never have enough time to go into anything in depth. You might get one 45-minute lesson a week, or if you're lucky, 2 lessons a week, but it's not enough time. And to actually compose a really quality piece of work takes years and years and years. But what we're teaching them is the stepping stones, the beginning process. And that needs them to understand that I'm not expecting a finished product. I'm not expecting them to be Beethoven and Mozart, but I'm hoping that they will keep growing and keep developing and pushing themselves forward, challenging themselves to go to that next step, keep stepping into the unknown and the fear and trying things out. And it's okay to fail, because that's how we learn. In the same way, when you learn to drive a car, how many times did you fail? How many times did you stall the car? Did you, put the wrong signal on? You went to put your indicators on and turned the wipers on, you got stalled at the roundabout. We've all done it. It's real life, and that's what we need to teach our students, how to learn in a real life setting, even within a school environment where sometimes it's overkill on testing and assessment before we've even taught them anything. Again, I think it's really important that we teach our students a culture of support, positivity, encouragement, and also what their comments do. And it is, so again, in this group setting of 14-year-olds, when you talk about, well, we know that everybody's judging and we know what that feels like, and we're not going to create that atmosphere. So at the end of their performance, we're going to clap, and then we're going to give some positive feedback, and then we're going to give positive advice on how to improve. So even though we're telling the student ultimately what they need to do next, and giving them, in a way, criticism of what they have produced, if you spin it around and put a positive spin on it and talk about how could you improve, if I gave you another 20 minutes, what would you do next? They are becoming critical thinkers, the class is becoming critical thinkers, and then they're talking about the work and the outcome as opposed to the person. It's so easy to make it personal without even realizing, and of course those messages become, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, and then they start to shrink in confidence and become more of a negative mindset. So a supportive culture, whether that's in your band programs or whether it's your classroom or whether it's in one-to-one, is really important for personal growth. That leads me on to comparison, which is so easy to do. We all do it, and it's human nature, but it does kill determination and perseverance, because if we're judging ourselves against other people's journeys, then we'll always feel a failure. We'll always feel we're not good enough, and we need to teach that to students. So I've often had that when I'm teaching GCSE music, and you'll have students who are grade 8 players who are phenomenal musicians at such a young age, and then you'll have students who are still in that first 2 or 3 years of their music experience, who actually are exactly who the course is aimed at, because the majority of students coming into that course at 15, 16 years old are maybe only 3 or 4 years into their music experience. They still might be, just good intermediate players. So these real top stars that you have, and they're fantastic to have in your room, but they're not, they're going to get you top grades, but they're not necessarily who the course was ever written for. So of course you get students who come in and they go, oh, I'm not good enough to pass this course, I'm not good enough to do GCSE music, I don't play like X and I don't compose like Y. And you have to be honest, and you go, well, actually they're really talented and of course you want to achieve, but the course isn't written necessarily for them and a whole class of them. It is a course for everybody's ability. That's why they've got all these different levels of grades. It's meant to be inclusive. So I talk to them about that and be honest. And I say it's not about how brilliantly talented you are. It's about meeting the course requirements and passing that exam and keep moving forward. It's easy to compare yourself as a young person and to want to, be good at stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. We want to be good at stuff as adults. We want to, be good in our job, and we want to be recognised as a good wife or a good husband or a good parent or a good daughter. We want that because, it gives us some identity and self-worth, that comparison, of course. But we also have to be careful of the flip side of that, of how it can start to have a negative impact if we are too self-critical. And if we start going down that negative mindset, then we start to lose our perseverance and determination, and then we tend to give up. I think for my final point, the most important thing we can do in helping students or our young musicians or your adult musicians that you're teaching to keep persevering is to recognise the progress, recognise the successes. Look at what happened over the last week, the last month, the last 6 months, and really celebrate that, because we can focus on all the steps to improve and we can keep focusing on what we haven't quite got to yet, but then we have to also focus on, hang on a second, I might not be here yet, but I was there and I'm now here. That's an impressive journey, and we need to celebrate that a lot more. This week I was teaching my year 8s, my 13-year-old music students, and I had them last year, and this is my second year with them. And I'm listening to their work and going, wow, they've really improved from last year. They're really getting this, and that good grounding we did in year 1, it's now coming out in year 2. And it's so easy to miss that if you don't take a moment to reflect. And I celebrated their success with the students. I told the students, hey guys, look how far you've come from last year. Look what you're doing. I'm so impressed at what you're able to do, how you're able to play these melodies so much quicker, how you're able to organise yourselves on instruments and get going with it and find the keys and all of that technical aspect as well. Well, suddenly change the whole atmosphere of the class. You've got a whole group of children who suddenly go, oh, I can do this. Okay, I'm going to keep persevering because I can now understand how much progress I've made. And again, I don't think we do enough of this in society, full stop. So we do have to go back and look at that with our students so that they do develop perseverance and determination in the same way you and I have had to develop that in our love of music, in our love of education, and in other areas of our life. We've had failures, and that's quite normal in life, and it's how you pick yourself up and you move on from it. So I hope you found this video helpful in ways that you can implement teaching students determination and perseverance. They're two very important life skills that we can share with our students, and the arts really do give students the chance to learn this in a very real way. My name is Rachel Hardman, and this is Passionate About Music Education. And if you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful in any way, please like or subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you again here soon.